As I stepped off the plane, the first thing that hit me was the heat. It was humid and hot and steamy.
The buses are crazy. People all over them, hanging out the back, on top.
I really was interested by the billboards because they seem to reflect the culture.
Lots of kids, especially in the barrios and walking on the sides of the road. It seems like a very young country.
In 1979, the Nicaraguan people overthrew the 50-year dictatorship of the Somoza family and embarked on an ambitious program to bring the country out of years of underdevelopment. In addition to launching literacy and health campaigns, the new revolutionary government requested international assistance for technological development. In response to Nicaragua's need for automation and technical expertise, TecNica, a non-profit, non-governmental organization based in Berkeley, California, began in 1983 to provide assistance in computer technology, engineering, and other areas through the work of volunteers who come from all parts of the United States, Canada, and Britain.
I work in the United States in the field of library automation at the University of California, and it fit very neatly with the project that I'm working on here in Nicaragua, which is for the Nicaraguan Institute for Economic and Social Research. It's called, the acronym is ENEAS. They are a group of researchers who are studying the social and economic political problems and the crises in the Caribbean region and in Nicaragua in particular, with an eye to developing solutions to those crises. At home, frequently you are just a very small part of a large project, but here you become a motivating force of it. You become a person who has contact at every level with them. And then, of course, once people determine that you know that you have an expertise that they can draw on, they pass the word around, and before you know it, everybody's coming in to ask for input, and you begin to see that the large effect that you can have just as one person. And that's really exciting and stimulating and very rewarding personally for me.
I worked in the cotton-growing region of Leon. I started working on applications that track production of cotton, basic grains like rice, sorghum, animal feed, cattle raising, that essentially store the data and print out reports that people need. I started working with things like that, and one day the president of the Bank of Chinandega showed up in Leon where I was working, and he brought me a nomina, the payroll, and he said, to create this nomina, to create this form with all the names of the people and all their deductions and their income tax and the Social Security payments and their salaries, and to generate from this a final check that each worker receives each 2 weeks, takes 4 people 1 week to do, staying up late at night. And as of November 14th of 1985, it took 2 people a morning to do that. One thing I'd like to stress about that is that today they're printing the checks for Leon today, and I'm not there. And this is what I was saying before about training, that I wasn't there to establish a dependency. I was there to teach a young woman who had no computer experience. And this person happened to be very bright, very motivated, wanted to learn the system, runs the system.
Well, my experiences have had something of a technical base in the sense of assisting in computerization of some office procedures. 2 of the 4 projects that I worked on involved skills that you would say would be international law or banking or finance. These are things you don't usually associate with a new government, particularly a revolutionary government, but they have to do international trade, they have to have banking, and some innovation is needed there. So people who have real expertise in those areas in the more traditional lines in the United States or European countries, in the West generally, and who would like to try to apply these in new ways would find it a fascinating challenge, I think. Certainly I did.
I've been in the skilled trades for about 20 years. I was a boiler maker, I was a teamster, I was an iron molder, I was an iron worker. Lately I'm a steam fitter. That's the United Association of Plumbers and Pipe Fitters. When I came down here, I figured that I had a job to do teaching welding. And I ended up at this factory out in a town called Tipitapa. And they needed some help there. They do rather elementary welding, and they needed help some of the finer points. So I felt I had some effect there. I had 4 students. They were young people with about a year's experience. And then toward the end, I trained a new instructor to take over. And I hope what they do is to train all their people, to make schooling available so the older guys can learn the finer points of welding, for instance, high-pressure welding, X-ray welding. I think there's a great need for people to come down here, people in the skilled trades, as trainers and teachers, that not only can we train people, and they're hungry for knowledge, they're hungry for training, but the best thing of all is to train teachers that can carry on our work when we go. It's the old thing of teaching somebody to do something. If you give a man a fish, he eats today. If you teach him how to fish, he eats for his whole life.
What I've been emphasizing a lot this week in class is that I'm trying to teach them a more sophisticated way to look at the problems they're facing, so that instead of operating out of the manual environment they're used to and just kind of applying that to the computer, they're learning to do some analysis to identify where, when they get equipment, they have the opportunity of introducing automation. And some of it they can use right now, some of it their technological opportunities are so limited because they literally don't have the machinery to do what there's the possibility of doing. So I'm trying to adapt what I would do in an anything is possible, dollars are no problem environment to something in which technology and dollars are a very limited resource.
Oh, well, I thought when I came, God, I don't know anything about what I'm going to be doing, or I'll bring something about demography, which is what I thought I might be doing. When I came down here, it was totally different. Put me on the agricultural survey. Didn't matter how much I would have brought down, it would never have been about an agricultural survey. And in a sense, I think everybody's in the same boat. Like, if you come down for a short time for the first time, you just jump into whatever level you can manage with what you've got.
In a sense, you have to be kind of self-starting. You know, you have to be able to look at the situation, the place, and say, this I can do and this I can help with, and tell me what else you have, and I'll see where I fit in.
It's important, I think, to have some Spanish when you come down here as a TecNica volunteer. One, in order to accomplish your work more effectively, and two, in order to enhance your enjoyment of the country. Most folks don't have English-speaking people at work. I was lucky that I did have one or two, but the fact that I didn't have much Spanish has somewhat compromised my enjoyment of my experience here in Nicaragua.
Which we've just done. So now, what we do...
I feel that I've been into a number of organizations here, which I've, in other circumstances, it would have been totally impossible. So actually have seen inside a Nicaraguan business organization, seen a little bit of how that functions and how it's composed of mainly very young people. And perhaps if I'd come, working in a group from Britain, I would never have seen anything like that. So I was actually seeing a sort of a working environment, a technological working environment in another country, and trying to identify with it. And I found it easy to identify with.
I've read a lot of books about Nicaragua Libre, about how the revolution was made, about the advances of the revolution, the agrarian reform, just all kinds of things. But the reality of the situation is far richer than you can possibly read about. And then getting to work with a lot of different people is an opportunity to sort of share their life for just a little bit, and they tell you a little bit about it. I mean, not everybody is happy with Nicaragua today, but everybody agrees that they don't want a war, and everybody agrees that they like the idea of collaborating with people in the United States.
I think the obstacles to becoming a TecNica volunteer as a woman are probably not that different from what any man faces. I found that there are women all over this country doing work. I saw 4 female welders at the agricultural school. There are women working, picking cotton, picking coffee, doing construction, heading construction crews. There are Nicaraguan women and international women working together. But I think it's very important to the Nicaraguan women's groups that women from the United States, especially in technical fields, come down and reach out to the women here.
Having been here for 2 weeks and having taken lots and lots of pictures and spoken to lots of people, I'll have more credibility when I go back to the United States and when I show my slides to my friends and talk about what the life is like down here and what the culture is like down here and what the war is doing to this country. And I think that people who may not agree with me will have a harder time refuting me, because I can say, well, I was there. And I can say that, if you know, I know you believe what you believe, but why don't you go down and take a look for yourself?
Well, what I'm really looking forward to is talking to the people that I used to work with in the engineering office, because they're very conservative. They know nothing about Nicaragua other than what they've read in the papers. And I feel like maybe this will be a chance to present them another point of view. And I feel that they will listen to me because I'm a colleague and because they know me. So I'm looking forward to changing a few opinions when I get back to the States.
When I go back to the States, I think one of the things that's going to be most important for me to do is to try to get the word out to the skilled trades that people are needed down here. For instance, this problem of spare parts. Take an example that the cooking oil industry is grinding to a halt for want of parts. You might have a part that costs, $100. It might send the whole factory down, and that means the whole country is going to be short of cooking oil. Well, if you had somebody that was really good with a milling machine and a lathe and a surface grinder, he could turn out a part like that in a week. It would get the industry running again.
I think for a person coming down here to Nicaragua for the first time who wants to do something useful within 2 weeks, TecNica is about the best and the only way to do it. The bureaucracy, the mechanics, the logistics, the lodging, food, transportation. No one could come here for the first time and deal with all that within 2 weeks. You wouldn't have even started your job by the time you would have had to leave. So TecNica has been very useful to have people down here, to have people in the States arrange all this, who are aware of the culture, know their way through the bureaucracy.
It's really something. It's like you are doing the job you've been doing every day in the United States, except that you feel for the first time sometimes that you're actually accomplishing something that's good for everybody, that's good for people and good for this country,